Hey there. So Merlin's entire kit was revealed as promised on stream today, and while there are some placeholders and the numbers won't be completely finalised, the actual mechanics of his kit have been finalised. So let's take a look at him plus some other stuff for Season 6, like skins, the new Battle Pass system and all that jazz afterwards. So as you may have heard by now if you've been keeping up to date with the Season 6 news and following my videos or anyone else's on Season 6, Merlin is going to be a triple stance switcher. That doesn't necessarily mean he has 9 or 12 abilities, but he does switch between 3 different magic stances, Arcane, Fire and Frost. And essentially the way his kit is going to work is that his 1 and his 2 in all 3 of the stances will be on separate cooldowns and have different effects. The 3 is going to be a teleport that it's a shared cooldown between all stances and it works the same no matter what stance you're in. And the ultimate has some additional effects while also swapping your stance of course. So let's dive right into Merlin. So the passive Overload is probably the simplest part of his kit. It's essentially just like a mini Polynomicon every time you cast a spell. This can stack up to 3 times though, so if you're casting a lot of spells, you can stack this up 3 times and your next 3 autos will have that Polynomicon-like effect. Nothing too crazy, but the rest of his kit is quite in-depth and there's a lot to learn about him, so I'm kind of okay with him having a fairly simple passive. So his 1 in Arcane stance is Eclipse. Merlin conjures an orb of condensed celestial energy that grows in size as it travels, dealing damage every 0.4 seconds and marking enemies hit. Enemies marked take additional damage if they stay near the outer range of the Eclipse. So this is essentially just a projectile that he throws out which will do a small amount of initial damage on contact with people. And then anyone that was hit by that initial damage, if they stay near the Eclipse afterwards, little orbs are going to pulse out from the Eclipse and do damage over time to them. So if you stay near it, it's going to do more damage to you. The Fire Stance one, Radiate. Merlin channels a beam of intense fire for 2 seconds that deals damage every half second. Each time Radiate hits an enemy, it also applies a burn, which applies an additional dot. So this is a really simple ability. It's almost sort of like an Artio 3 in Druid Stance. It'll just do tick damage over time and it'll also apply that burn. Again, nothing crazy, but the damage does seem fairly high on this. Just the damage alone is 200 base, which is pretty mediocre, but 140% scaling on this ability is questionable at best. If you have a lot of power, that's going to be hitting really hard. Plus, it also applies that burn. And finally, the 1 in Ice Stance is Frostbolt. Merlin hurls a Frostbolt that explodes if it hits an enemy, dealing an additional 20% damage if they're slowed, so it's like an almost Runeforged Hammer type effect, where if they're CC'd, it's going to deal more damage to them. Again, as with a lot of these abilities, they're fairly simple in themselves because of how his stance switching mechanics are quite complicated. They're trying to keep the actual abilities themselves fairly simple. So this is literally just a simple line damage ability that will do extra if they're slowed. On to Merlin's 2. His 2 in Arcane stance is Vortex. Merlin deploys a field of arcane energy at the location. After a delay, the vortex deals damage and pulls enemies towards the center. So this is an ability I'm really excited for because I've been asking for something like this in the game for a long time. It sort of works like Souls 2 in that you throw out a projectile, it'll deal damage in a circle and then pull everyone in. Obviously it's only a single tick of damage, but the CC can be really powerful with this. Having a basic ability that can group people up like this is really good setup for the rest of his kit, plus for the rest of his team as well. His 2 in Fire stance is Dragonfire. Merlin summons forth 2 ethereal dragons that spout flames towards each other, dealing damage to enemies in the area every 0.25 seconds. If caught in the center of the area, enemies' protections are also shredded, and the dragons last for 3 seconds. So the damage per tick does seem low, but I think how they said on stream is that it's going to work with both dragons are hitting you at the same time if you're in the AoE for both of them. So it can stack up the damage really quick considering it's 25% of your magical power every quarter second. If you even stood in there for just 1 second, you're taking 100% of his magical power, so this can do a lot of damage. Not to mention it also shreds protections, so it can do even more damage. Granted, the actual area for it shredding your protections is fairly small, but if you do get caught in it, maybe you combine this with an Arcane Stance 2, pull them all in, and then just hit them with this, it can do an insane amount of damage. Plus, obviously you can have setup from the rest of your team for this as well, and if you can lock them in, it looks like it's going to do a lot. And the Ice Stance 2 is Blizzard. Merlin creates a blizzard at the location, and after a brief delay, shards of ice start raining down every 0.5 seconds. Enemies hit will take damage and progressively get more and more slowed while they stay in the area. So actually another parallel to Artio 3 here, it will actually slow them more and more and more each tick of damage as Artio 3 does, but it's not going to be ending in a root or anything like that, it's just going to be slowing them more and more. This ability on its own doesn't seem that good, it can be good for zone control, but I think if you combine it with Merlin's other abilities or setup from his team, it could do a lot. It could be really powerful. If you can lock people into this ability, either by using his Arcane 2 or just having, set up from a big Sylvanas ult straight into a Blizzard, slowing everyone, that could be really good. I also really like the effects for this ability. The shards raining down look really cool, I think. Okay, so that's most of the complicated stuff over for Merlin. It's his first 2 abilities that are really the triple stance switch sort of things, which really complicates his kit. His 3, as I mentioned earlier, is just a short range blink that's a shared cooldown between all stances. From the looks of it, it is the same range as Blink, and obviously the cooldown on this is very long. It's 22 seconds down to 18 seconds, so even with full CDR, this is a very long cooldown. But this isn't Merlin's only way of getting people off him. He does have a lot of self-peel within his kit as well, so I think it's fine to have this on a bit of a longer cooldown. Plus, no matter what stance he's in, this is going to be available to him. So yeah, I think the higher cooldown is justified with this one. And finally, his ultimate elemental mastery is obviously a stance change. So other than changing your stance, this also does an explosion and then an implosion, sort of like a Soul 2, where it'll do damage on the way out, then damage on the way back in. And this does it around you in like a pretty large AoE actually, so you could hit multiple people with this in a team fight, though the damage is fairly low. Naturally, because the cooldown's a lot lower and it's also a stance switch, so you're not going to have like crazy damage like a Scylla ultimate on this. It is 520 base though, the scaling is pretty pathetic at 40%, but the 520 base could still chunk people pretty hard, I think. And then depending on what stance you're swapping into, this will also do a bonus effect. So if you're swapping into fire stance, I believe, it'll do the burn, like just apply a dot to people. If you're swapping into arcane stance, it knockbacks all enemies around you. And if you're swapping into ice stance, it'll slow everyone. The cooldown of his stance switch starts at 28 and scales down to 20 seconds, so in the endgame, when you have like a 20-second cooldown stance change, you can be spamming out a lot of abilities in fights. Especially with a lot of CDR, which I think is going to be pretty powerful on Merlin, you can get this down to as low as 12 seconds. So having your ability rotations up every 12 seconds, plus having like cooldown reduction for like the blink and stuff could be really good. Oh, and also the stance you're changing into, you know, because there'll be 2 available stances when you ult, it isn't random. You're going to be cycling between them in a specified order. So say if you're in ice stance, you'll go into fire stance every time. But if you want to go straight from ice into arcane stance, you essentially double tap the ultimate. Like you'll fire it, and then while the like explosion and implosion is happening, you can fire the ultimate again, and it will switch stance again, and you'll be like switching 2 stances effectively in one cast. So yeah, that's Merlin. Sorry if this review was a little scattered around. I'll probably have some more to say when we've actually seen his kit in action and I've had a chance to use it in PTS and stuff like that. It does seem like each stance is fairly evenly weighted, which I do like. I think if one stance was vastly better than the others, it might feel bad, whereas having all stances be near enough equally as good allows you to sort of like tailor the stance to the situation you're in, which is better than just having like a default best stance. So hopefully they do make an effort to keep his stances in line with each other. I like the idea of the shared cooldown dash as well. I think having a dash that does something different and is on a separate cooldown for all 3 stances will be a little bit much. This way his kit is a little bit easier to digest for people new to him or just new to the game in general. Overall, I really like his design though, both visually and how his kit seems to work. Mages aren't usually my thing, but my main gripe with mages is that they feel like really samey to me, where Merlin spices things up a little bit. We'll have to see on the PTS though. Alright, onto skins and other content quickly before we end this off. So following the Arthurian lore, there's Knight of Mordred Achilles. Achilles is actually one of my lesser played warriors, but this skin does look really nice for him. You can do a lot with Achilles' model, you know, because he's armoured or unarmoured. You can have like some really cool like armoured stances and then also some cool clothes stances, which I like, and this skin really takes advantage of that. There's Lady of the Lake Freya, which was quite an anticipated skin. The card art looks really cool for this. In game, I don't really like it though. The skin tone is really off, the hair looks like really low quality. I'm not sure if they're going to touch that up or not, but personally I don't like this skin. You'll have to see for yourselves though. Infinite Shift Sun Wukong, however, is a really fucking cool skin. As with Achilles, Wukong isn't one of my most played warriors, but I'm probably be playing him a little bit more with this skin. It's kind of a hard skin to describe, but like his animals and stuff are sort of like spirity, and like his body is all disjointed with like floating limbs everywhere and stuff. I'll put a screenshot up of the actual skin in game because it does look really good in game as well as on the card art. Furry Anubis, well yeah, it's Furry Anubis. If you like Furry Anubis, you can use this skin, I guess. Dragon Empress Scylla, which is a recolor of the Dragon Queen, I believe it is, Scylla skin that we already have. I already have Dragon Queen, so I'm not going to be bothered about getting this, but it's there. Gladiator Guan Yu, the ranked reward skin. I have to say I like this skin's overall design, except for the blue on it. The blue just really throws me off. I feel like if the blue was a black or a brown or like something a bit more neutral, I think I'd like the skin a lot more. It's an okay skin though, especially since it's free for just playing ranked. Scarlet Judgment Nemesis. I do like this skin a lot, but Nemesis already has a ton of really cool skins that I like, so I'm not sure I'm going to be getting this one. So if I do want to complete my collection for Nemesis skins, it's definitely a good skin to have. Golden Touch Baron Samdi. This is the reward for not being a cunt and not getting banned in Season 5. I do kind of like this skin actually. Baron's base model looks so good that like a simple like nice colour change to his base model is actually a skin that I really like. I currently just play in Baron's legendary skin because I think it's the best looking, but I think this one I'd probably prefer it to legendary, so I'm going to be playing in this one. Steamy Chibi Soul, it's a fucking chibi skin. If you like chibi skins, you like chibi skins. What more can I say? And Merlin Mastery skins. These look as good as they always do. I really like the new like design for Mastery skins. Updates to the Awesome Chest, no one cares. A few bug fixes. Pause the video if you want to read these because I'm not going to go through every single one just because it's kind of pointless. If you do care about bug fixes and you want to know what's happening, read these. And the final bit today, since everything else below here is just like stuff we've already covered in previous videos, is the Battle Pass system. So yeah, they're essentially ripping off Fortnite, Call of Duty, everyone else who's done this type of thing. I don't really blame them, honestly. Like, you gotta make money how you gotta make money, I guess. They're doing it very similar to how Fortnite and like COD Black Ops 4 do it, where there's like free rewards and there's also paid rewards. So if you buy into the Battle Pass, you're gonna get extra rewards, which makes sense, I guess, and you're also gonna get bonus BP, which is Battle Pass points, or Battle Points, whatever, for buying into it. Also, as with the Season Pass from previous seasons, buying the Battle Pass will instantly get you a skin and also increase your amount of BP end, as I just said. And quick note, the Triumphant chest system and the season ticket are now discontinued and have been moved into the Battle Pass. So the season ticket has essentially morphed and become the Battle Pass. Any FP boosters you still had at the end of Season 5 will be converted into Battle Point boosters. And the Triumphant system is just like you don't get them for wins anymore. There's still Triumphant chests, you just get them along the Battle Pass instead of just for daily wins or whatever. Alright, so that's it for this relatively quick look at Merlin, the new skins, and the Battle Pass for Season 6. Let me know your thoughts on all this stuff below. I think Merlin certainly looks interesting to say the least. Plus, with the new Battle Pass system, we'll have to see exactly how it functions, but I doubt it's really that much different from the season ticket that we all know. But yeah, that's all from me. Drop a like and subscribe for more news videos about Smite and all my other content in the future, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, you nerds.